come from a family of entertainers. It was kind of a predestined, I think. Both my parents were musical performers, and my grandfather was a celebrated actor-manager back in the early part of the 20th century. And I was also, like my father, influenced by my father on my love of gadgetry. So I think it was predestined that I would become a recording engineer somehow. I was fortunate enough to land a job at Abbey Road Studios, which was obviously spectacular timing on my part because the Beatles were still together and still had 2 albums ahead of them. So I was involved in those 2 records, and then having served my apprenticeship, as it were, I started engineering, and ultimately that led to production, and that ultimately led to becoming an artist, although I still don't really regard myself as an artist in the conventional sense. It's my gig is still really in the recording studio, engineering and producing. Abbey Road is such an amazing place. It has such a vibe that that anybody who goes there, anybody who's had experience of recording there, always goes back. It's one of those interesting phenomena that it just draws you back. It has a magic. It was ultimately a huge thrill for me when I ended up going back there as the boss. I was given the top job. Running not only Abbey Road, but all the other EMI studios that were still left at that time. A lot of them have gone now, but Abbey Road still continues to be the go-to place for serious recording. And if I was still living in the UK, I'd be there all the time. But I'm now firmly entrenched in American soil, so less likely to go there. But I still love Abbey Road. Still have a great feeling of belonging there. What's particularly interesting, especially from a DTS perspective, is that we had agreed between us that we would record certain effects and certain elements of the album in quad. In other words, the surround format of the early 70s. For example, the clock sounds were recorded on 4 tracks of the 16 tracks, so that each of the 4 channels would come out of a separate speaker. And the same thing on the repeat echoes on Us and Them. Each of the repeats came out of a sort of clockwise rotating speaker configuration. Money, of course, the money loop, that was also very much created with surround or quad at the time in mind. All those sounds literally walk around the room. But one of the things I'm most proud of is that the clocks on the intro to Time was my idea. That I said to the band, I've got these clock recordings. I'd actually already made these recordings, which you're free to use. It was really because of DTS that I first got interested in surround, because Brad Miller, who was the creator of Mobile Fidelity Sound Lab, came to me and asked me to mix an album I was working on at the time called On Air, and that ultimately got released as a DTS CD in DTS format. Well, I've always been a big supporter of 5.1, particularly how accessible it is, through DTS. But now we have this new Neo X, which is effectively 11.1. There is a difference. I mean, it's interesting when you can actually place things discreetly at the sides or discreetly half sides, or as this format allows you to do, Neo-X, to have the front information above you, and that's a treat. Mixed, did a lovely mix on these 11.1 speakers, and I was delighted with it. Everybody else seemed to be delighted with it, and everybody who walked in went, "Wow, this is something I've never heard before."